we've got some huge games coming up this week in the TELUS Canadian Championship, both on Wednesday night. We've got the Vancouver Whitecaps and Forge FC in their first semifinal in Hamilton Stadium, and then we've got Vancouver FC against Atletico Ottawa. 3 CPL teams in the semifinals this year, AGR. We know one of them, at least, is going to be in the CanChamp final. Maybe I'll kick it off like this, and then we'll break it down a little bit better. Is it more likely, do you think, that the Whitecaps win the Canadian Championship or a CPL team? Because the Whitecaps, we're going to have to go through 2 of them.
Yeah, I think you still lean the Whitecaps just because they're the favorites until proven otherwise. When you win 3 in a row, when you show no signs of stopping, and also that you show in the earlier rounds that you're still going to respect this competition. They didn't put out any shocking lineups against Valor. They rotated kind of as they have all year through Champions Cup, through MLS, and now into this tournament. So for the Whitecaps, this is status quo. They're at a point for them as a club where the expectation, it's not even an expectation. It's almost like a requirement. And I think as a club, they've got the players, they've got the mentality to tackle this. So I think this is fascinating, though, for the CPL teams, because all there is opportunity. Like, if you come up short against this Whitecaps team, there's not a feeling of, oh, this team is barely scraping by in MLS and you came up short. And, kind of like with Forge in Montreal, where there's a bit of an expectation there for Forge to get the job done. Yeah. But with that, it can be good, especially from Ottawa and Forge's perspective. You literally have nothing to lose. And in Vancouver, too, I guess you can throw into that category, literally nothing to lose. Maybe that allows you to have a bit more of a go than you would otherwise, or maybe there's a bit of nerves. And perhaps it is also lined up in a way that Forge going up against the Whitecaps from a CPL perspective, that's the team that you trust won't shrink in the moment, that won't be afraid of the Whitecaps. And at least that'll give them the chance to give the best go.
Yeah, I don't think there's any any doubt that Forge is the toughest draw that the Whitecaps could have had of those 3. Just being the team that's already done it in a Canadian Championship this year, beaten an MLS team, has been to these semifinals. I think this is their 3rd year in a row and their 4th in the last 5 years. And there are things kind of surrounding the Whitecaps. It's a long trip from San Jose to Hamilton, where they were on Saturday. There's a lot of other news around the Whitecaps at the moment. They've got an introductory press conference with Thomas Muller on Thursday. So that there are distractions, but again, a club that's been as far as they went in the CONCACAF Champions Cup this year knows how valuable it can be to win this tournament, to win the Canadian Championship. Certainly, I would guess it's a priority to find a way back into that tournament, and this is probably the most straightforward for them. But Forge desperately want to be the first CPL team to win this tournament. It's hard to pick against them, especially in leg 1 at home. Things can change in leg 2, especially if Vancouver have some German reinforcements on the pitch in that game. Ottawa, Vancouver, though, let's talk about this one because it's interesting. Certainly, none of us, maybe we were wrong for doing so, but I know none of us really expected Vancouver FC to be in the semifinals of the Canadian Championship. But they've been through 2 different rounds on penalties, beat Pacific, beat Cavalry. Could they do it again against Atletico Ottawa?
It definitely feels like it's a different hurdle, so to speak. Pacific, get by on penalties, good performance. Okay, Cavalry, that was still a pretty huge deal because they never beaten Cavalry. So to get by them when it felt like Cavalry could have got their number. Okay, granted, this Ottawa team, it's a bit of a mix because they're one of the best CPL teams ever. They've had Vancouver's number in their first 2 meetings. Granted, one was a 2-2 draw. Maybe Vancouver will look at that and be like, all right, there's something there. But Ottawa's had a good go at Vancouver so far this year. So for Vancouver, I think it's really this first leg feels crucial. Like, if you can get anything at home, I think the hope is Ottawa does have a lot going on. And as we've seen, they haven't rotated a whole lot this year. They really want to get the job done in league play, win a league title, and they've really gone for it. For Vancouver, the reality is this cup really is your season. Now they're, I think, 14 points adrift in the league. It's something where sooner rather than later, unless they go on a hot streak, they're going to get mathematically eliminated. You kind of have to go all out in this. And I think this
Absolutely.
leg one is massive because if you can get the job done there, that's going to be a big difference maker. And then maybe in leg two in September, Ottawa is going to have other distractions to potentially catch you. So for Vancouver, this is a huge opportunity, but don't get it mistaken. Ottawa really want to play an MLS team. Like
Mhm.
every year, they're like, we really want to play an MLS team. They're almost frustrated that to this point they haven't had that chance. So
Yeah.
they're not going to want to let this slip. They realize it would be super special for the club to reach a final and to go to Vancouver. And given how good they are this year, or of course they would love to play Forge. That would also be an incredible game. They're going to want to go all out in this. So it is such a unique tie because you got top of the table versus bottom, but Vancouver, for whatever reason, this competition gets a lot out of them, and for Ottawa, they know it's at stake.
Yeah, I think Vancouver have done well kind of bringing these knockout games to the level they want them to be, right? They know how to win some of these more ugly games, right? You win by fine margins in cup football, and sometimes it's a scrap, and Vancouver FC are able to do that. That said, a couple suspensions in leg one, I think. Is that right?
Or not sure yet. We're still figuring out because the disciplinary records might
Okay.
have changed, where it's like 3 yellows for a suspension instead of two. So
Okay. Well,
TBD on that one.
all right. Well,
But
we I guess we'll find out hopefully this week, and check kmpl.ca for the final word on whatever that is. But yeah, as you said, Atletico Ottawa. I think personally that they're hoping the Whitecaps beat Forge. I think it would. Obviously, you want to win the cup no matter what, but it would definitely feel a little different if you're Atletico Ottawa to win a Canadian championship without beating an MLS team, especially if Forge have beaten two on the way there. So I think they definitely want that crack at the Whitecaps. But we will see. Again, those games go this Wednesday night, starting 7 p.m. Eastern in Hamilton between Forge and the Whitecaps. And then I think it's 10 o'clock Eastern in Vancouver, where Vancouver FC host Atletico Ottawa. Catch those games both on OneSoccer and see which Canadian Premier League teams maybe take a bit of a step closer to making some history.